We're here with Ellen Mole, who's the director of the Ontario School of Piping and Drumming. And Ellen, what is this, the sixth, seventh straight year for the school?
I think it's more like the 13th.
Really?
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yes.
That's great. So what about this year? How do you think the school has gone?
Actually, we've had record attendance this year, I'm really pleased to say. And also, we've had twice as many drummers as ever before. I'm really pleased about that.
Has it been a challenge to attract drummers in the past?
Yeah, it has, strangely, and we've wondered why, but finally I think the word is out, and we have two fabulous drum instructors with very different styles, Reed Maxwell and Doug Stronach, and they're both great teachers, and the drummers are finally coming out in force, so it's really exciting.
Excellent. What about the challenges of running a school such as this? What do you find are the biggest, is it easier now to run a school like this, or does it get more and more complex every year?
I think it's all a question of balance. You're trying to balance the needs of the pipers and the drummers, the students and the instructors, the kids and the adults, and of course the experienced and the inexperienced. So there's a whole lot of balancing acts going on, and sometimes the students would say, we want more evening workshops and seminars, but the instructors are beat because they're teaching all day and in the record-breaking heat, and we can't work them to death. The beginners want certain things, the more experienced people want different things, the kids want perhaps a larger degree of fun thrown in, and we want to keep them productively occupied. The adults can make their own fun, and we don't have to worry about whether they're productively occupied or not. That's their problem. So it's just trying to keep a balance and trying to have enough to keep everyone happy. And I think we've struck a really good balance between, enough activity versus enough practice time, enough group stuff versus small group and individual stuff. So
good. Now, what about the quality of star power? There are a lot in North America anyway. There are a lot of schools from which to choose. How much does having people like Angus McCall and others from that kind of level of premier player, Bruce Gandy, players like that?
I think that the star power draws a certain segment of student, the more experienced, the sort of upper level student who, for whom it makes a difference. And those are the kind of students that also make it really fun for the instructors. And so we do get a good number of those kinds of, very talented up and coming players here. However, we also get a lot of lower level and adult beginner people who don't really know the difference, and they're coming because of our location, our reasonable price, and our sort of teaching schedule, that the small group classes with your own level and that kind of thing that really appeal to them. So I would never want to do without our stars. We love our stars, and they're all not only piping stars but great teachers. So they're wonderful. At the same time, it's interesting that many of the people who come here don't even realize how great these teachers are as pipers and as teachers until they get here, and then they're just amazed.
Now, what about the average student? Let's say the average piping student. Does that person want to learn Pibroch, or are they really after the latest and greatest fast stuff that is hot off the field, Marshall Montgomery?
Yeah, the kids really love that stuff. Most of the adults can't play that stuff, so they're really into the Pibroch, most of them. A lot of the kids are into the Pibroch too, especially the sort of really talented young rising stars themselves are really into the Pibroch, but even some of the other kids really quite like the Pibroch as well. And then there's some who don't. But, I'd say the proportion of pipers here who enjoy Pibroch is probably higher than amongst the general piping and drumming population.
Do you think that's just because of the reputation of the school, or is it another reason?
I think it's the exposure. Most of them are required to try it at least. And we always do a Pibroch recital separate from the recital tonight that we do. And, you see the kids, even the first year players, coming by to check this out, what is this, and hanging around, and some of them go, oh man, that was really boring, and some of them go, wow, that was kind of cool. So just the fact that they get to hear great players like Jack Lee and Jim McGilvery, Angus McCall, Bruce Gandy playing at such a high level
Right.
makes it accessible to them.
And what about distance learning? I think a lot of instruction is available online on Skype. Even Bruce Gandy, who's here teaching.
Yeah.
What do you think the advantages are of being here in person for a week at a time, or even 2 weeks at a time?
I think for a lot of people who are isolated and would otherwise be drawn to distance learning, it's a real thrill to be with others who share their passion. And so that immersion aspect for them is great. And that's both for kids and adults. For the adults, I think the chance to put aside all their other responsibilities in life and just focus on their hobby for a week is a real treat. And so just the fact that it's the intensity of the experience, it's not to say that you'd want to just do summer schools and maybe not distance learning through the year, but they're very different experiences, and I think that it's a really fun time here.
Great. So you're already planning for next year?
Yes.
Yep. Great.
Yes.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Thanks a lot, Alan. We really appreciate the time, and
You're
good
welcome.
luck with the school.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. My pleasure.